Senator Mark Warner goes off on Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, but then John Kennedy stands up and calls out USAID and all the fraud associated with that.
I think it has been overused. I've been trying to push the banks to use the discount window more often before we add additional tools. That's out there. But the response is always, well, reputational risk. I do agree with Mr. Klein that banking is a reputation-based business. And if people start to lose confidence in that bank, they're going to move, whatever the regulator does or doesn't do. And that's why I got to ask, rhetorically at least, and perhaps to my colleagues, the United States dollar and the United States government and the full faith and credit are all build up the reputation of the United States of America. Now, if any of your institutions suddenly let somebody into your payment system that had no background in banking, that had no understanding of money flows, that suddenly gets an ability without any screening to look at all of your customers' personal banking information, I believe that would cause reputational risk. And that is exactly what is happening in the United States Treasury at this moment in time. We don't know if the DOGE crowd, there is one person that maybe has a clearance, the others, we have no freaking idea. But the ability, and we don't know for sure whether this is a read-only ability or read and write, which in past the legalese means that person could potentially go in and alter code or manipulate payments. I say to my Republican friends, guys, can't we agree that the risk of the United States is worth protecting? And the idea that we've got people potentially manipulating our payment system that we have no idea. And we're going to sit silently by? This isn't about efficiency. This is about the kind of payment system we're going to have in our country. If any financial institution let unscreened individuals into their payment book or into the private banking information about their customers, Mr. Klein, I believe their reputation would go straight to hell.
Absolutely, Senator. I worked in the Treasury Department for almost 4 years with a top secret clearance. I was going nowhere near that. And as you point out, this is not about efficiency. If you wanted to make the Treasury system more efficient, you would move it to a real-time payment network. Should have been done years ago. You wouldn't just sit there and take read access to look at every single payment the U.S. Treasury Department does. Any bank that did that to their customers would be in deep violation.
Well, it's also the fact that, the payment system in the Treasury, that's not where determinations are made about whether something is illicit or illegal. That is actually the subject matter expertise resides at the agency that has oversight.
Yeah.
I just say, come on, guys, this is about the full faith and credit of the United States. It is about our reputation in the world. You're getting the same calls that I'm getting. They don't identify whether they're Democrats or Republicans, but these programs that may or may not be arbitrarily eliminated by somebody that we don't even know who they are. Efficiency, sign me up. Turning over the payment system to people that we don't have any idea who they are or what their goal is or what their mission is, where we can't even get a full answer whether they simply have read capabilities or read and write. This is an enormous difference in those extra couple words.
First off, it's been clarified that they can only read. They cannot edit code whatsoever. They can only read the code that's there. This guy wants to talk about protecting America. We need to do the right thing. Do you think American taxpayers want to pay $60 million for people to get condoms in Guatemala or Sudan? No, absolutely not. USAID has been stripping and robbing American taxpayers blind. And the sad part about it all is that no one knew any of this until Elon Musk and his team at DOGE went in and actually audited the federal government for a change. The government's always nickel and diming the American taxpayer, but how about we flip the script and you actually have to explain to the American people where our tax money is going. I'm all about transparency. I don't know why anybody has an issue with the government having to actually own up and tell us where our money is going.
Just feel, Mr. Chairman, this ought to be something that we as the banking committee that are looking at the Treasury, we ought to jointly want that. You know, there's a 25-year-old there. I've read about him in the news. I don't know the individual. I don't have the slightest idea if they got security clearances. I will tell you this. Mr. Gannon, I was going to ask you about something on crypto that I'm not going to be able to get to. I look forward to working with Senator Loomis on how we promote innovation but don't overdo on the risk side. And I think we can do much better than we've done so far. But I have to just tell you, as somebody that was chair of the Intelligence Committee and now vice chair and take that role incredibly important, the notion that somebody maybe arbitrarily put out these payment flows for something that looks kind of funky, but they don't have any idea what it is, will hurt our national security. Because candidly, and this is not classified, we fund things sometimes under a cover. We put out this information and the bad guys find out about this, people's lives are at risk. And I implore you all as experts, I implore my colleagues, this should not be a partisan issue. Let's get to the bottom of who these people are, what kind of clearances they have, and make sure that we don't put in further jeopardy the risk and reputation of the United States government, which I believe is under immediate and imminent attack from these unsanctioned individuals. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Before I go to Senator Kennedy, I do want to respond to your comment there, Mark. The Treasury just put this out. Importantly, the ongoing review of Treasury systems is not resulting in the suspension or rejection of any payment instructions submitted to Treasury by other federal agencies across the government. In particular, the review at the Fiscal Services does not cause payments for obligations such as Social Security and Medicare to be delayed or rerouted. To be clear, the agency's responsibility is for making the payments, always drives the payment process. Currently, Treasury staff members working with Tom Krause, a Treasury employee, will have read-only access. Just to
Mr. Chairman,
help some of
do you know, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask.
Sure.
So you are saying that it is read-only and not read and write?
That's what the Treasury just put out.
And do you know the identity of these individuals? Mr. Krause is a known quantity, and he's got security clearance. Yeah. The other individuals who've been reported in the press, do they have security clearance, sir?
I'll just say this. And
do you want that individual without security clearance to have access to all that information?
Yeah. I was clarifying a comment you made, number one. Number two, I would simply say that under the Biden administration, we had no clue who was doing what most of the time. Mr. Kennedy.
Senator Warner is a reasonable man. Everybody on this committee knows that. And he's a good man. And I understand he's interested in process, and I'm not saying that process isn't important. But if the United States of America has been taking taxpayer money and using it to produce a transgender opera in Colombia, then I want to know about it. And I'm glad to know about it. And it seems to me that that's the main issue with respect to all of this. And I look forward to talking further with my friend, Mr. Warner, about that. I mean, for 4 years, under President Biden, as was his right, the topic of discussion in Washington was who needs to pay more in taxes? Who needs to pay more in taxes? That's no longer the main question. The main question is now, as it should be in my judgment, what the hell happened to all the money? And we're going to find out. Now, I need to get back to the subject. With the exception of Mr. Klein, whose testimony I enjoyed, I understand his position. He wants to let the CFPB run America's banks, and I appreciate that perspective, but Mr. Klein, it's not going to happen in your natural lifetime or mine.
Also, the senator kept saying that he was mad, but he didn't know who was operating the Department of Government Efficiency, who was working for Elon Musk to root out this corruption and fraud. First off, why do you think the public deserves to know that? If every single person who was operating under Elon Musk's supervision at DOGE was in a public database, do you think there would be more or less plots against their life and harassment and just absolute violence to each and every person on that list and all of their family members? Plain and simple, you would be putting them at risk for no reason. Nothing gets done without President Donald Trump's oversight. Elon Musk is just there as an advisor, and he's telling Trump what he finds. So this narrative that this guy's trying to spin is that these people can edit code and change things that are going on in the government is completely fabricated and false. That's not happening. They're just there to audit the federal government, and Donald Trump is the one who's encouraging them to be more and more proactive and more aggressive in what they're finding. And I mean, another reason why you don't want to tell these radical leftist lunatics who's working at DOGE is just look at what's been happening to Tesla vehicles all across the country. You could have nothing to do with Elon Musk, but you drive a Tesla. You can have your car absolutely firebombed or completely vandalized just because you wanted to drive an electric car. These people are deranged. Elon Musk was the left's hero. It wasn't until he endorsed Donald Trump that the left completely changed on a dime in their perception of him. If you ask me, it's about time something like this happened, because the government has been left unchecked for far too long, and we need to know where our money is going, because we will not put up with this fraud any longer. And Elon Musk and Trump are the perfect duo to take down the deep state and all this corruption. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Do you think that DOGE is doing the right thing, and do they have your support? Or do you think there should be more safeguards and more measures? And do you think their powers should be more limited? Let me know down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.